Welcome back to the 13th Destiny podcast with Magnum. I am James Magnum Cook, your host, and of course, my wonderful, awesome co-host, Danielle Long, standing by in San Diego, California.
Hi.
There she is. And today's subject will be the lost city of Atlantis, and we'll get into that shortly. But in the meantime, I've got some news stuff. Part of them is from Iggy Pop. It's kind of a little different on my beginning of my news today, but this is related to supernatural stuff, and these are some of the most anticipated supernatural movies of 2024 coming up. Something that I picked out, and then I got some other news stories, direct news stories I'll tell you about that I've recovered in the last week. So some of the movies that are coming up that you might want to check out. Now, remember, most of these are fictional, but they do have a background into the supernatural, paranormal, and all that. So anyway, we got a big one coming out for Ghostbusters on the Frozen Empire, March 2024. Be sure to check that out. It's the latest installment in the beloved Ghostbusters franchise, directed by Gil Kane, known for his work on Monster House and 2015 Poltergeist remake. So that should be pretty intense, so be sure to check that out. Then one of the other ones, of course, is coming up in the genre, which has taken forever, I believe, to get back to this, and that's the Beetlejuice 2 in September of 2024. That's the long-awaited sequel to Beetlejuice 2. Set for release on September the 6th, 2024, sees the return of director Tim Burton and the iconic character of Beetlejuice. Originally brought into life in 1988, Michael Keaton reprises his role as the eccentric and mischievous Beetlejuice alongside Winona Ryder. So anyway, so those are a couple of the big ones. There was another one on the parent. I don't even know how that.
Can I add one?
Yeah, sure. Go right ahead.
There's a new one out called UFO Revolution.
Yes.
Again, UFO Revolution. It is on Tubi, Tubi. Tubi is free to download.
Awesome.
So go ahead and download that, and it's very interesting stuff on there. It's into parts, so it goes into maybe 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know. It's in parts.
Awesome.
It's very interesting documentary. Watch it, guys.
Yes, awesome. That sounds great. That goes along with this past week of, I believe, I don't have their names. I know there was a Democrat and Republican both that are pushing more stuff about the UFO release stuff. And I apologize for not having their names right in front of me. One of them is kind of hard to pronounce anyway. So, but anyway, that is going on in the Congress as well still. So, and I believe from a previous notes I had, and I do apologize, this is on me, the Republican was saying that there's a lot of stuff that's being withheld from both Congress and the general public from certain agencies within the government. That's very interesting that he made that comment. But anyway, so I believe you can probably search that and find that pretty easy. I've got a news story from Hood River, Oregon. That's a small town, and this came from John S. I won't release his last name because I don't have all of the details, but because he did send it to me and said that there was that this was going on, and the authorities in Hood River, Oregon, are trying to dismiss it. But the story is the small town of Hood River, Oregon, and they said there's residents that are witnessing strange lights in the sky, describes as lights moving as unusual patterns and changing colors. Local authorities are not commenting at this time, so I think that's one of the reasons I had a hard time getting anything on this outside of the listener who listens to it. But I do take every listener's story into account. He says that there are a lot of amateur investigators up in the area, so I will continue to look on that, and I will give an update on that one as soon as I have it. So I did send back to this listener, and I said, as soon as you have more information on this, please give me this. But apparently there is some kind of activity going on in that area. Also, over in Stowe, Vermont, a family claims to have captured a ghostly apparition on their home security camera. The video footage shows a translucent figure moving through the living room late at night. Experts in paranormal are analyzing the footage to determine its authenticity. Sorry about that. While skeptics remain skeptical. Okay, so that was another news story that I've got. And then our final one story takes us to, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, I don't know. Maybe Danielle knows. You live in California. You're close to New Mexico, and I apologize. We're getting a call interference while we're doing this. I don't know why someone's trying to. So I apologize, Danielle. Someone's trying to call through while we're doing the show. Give me a second. Shoot. Can you still hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I lost my news story because they called over the. So I apologize. That happens sometimes. Normally I tell people not to call during the show time. I don't know why this person. Anyway, the final news story I have is. Is this pronunciation right? Is it Taos, Taos, New Mexico? Do you know whether or not that is the correct pronunciation on that?
I have no idea.
Okay, well, anyway, that's the name of the place that I got this one from. It says, takes us to that location, and apparently a team of archaeologists made a startling discovery while excavating an ancient burial site. They stumbled upon an artifact believed to, this is according to the paranormal news, possible supernatural powers. So I don't know. I don't have a lot on that one either. And again, it's just a mysterious amulet, and they just said it was kind of a weird situation. So I'll try to follow up on that one as well on another one. But that concludes most of our news segment. So join us next week to continue exploring the unexplained and delving deeper into mysteries of the paranormal.
We have an announcement.
We have an announcement.
Next week we're going to have a guest.
Oh yes. I almost slipped up. Thank you, Danielle, for stopping me before I slipped up really bad there. Yes, we do have a guest show next week. A guest show. What is Nancy's name? Outside of Nancy?
Nancy.
Just Nancy? Okay. Okay, that's fine with me. And Nancy is a medium and psychic, correct? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. And so I will be interviewing her with Danielle next week on the air. We finally got the tech working where we can actually have the guest on the phone with me and Danielle at the same time. Just got that kind of squared away yesterday, so we can do that now. So that should be a very exciting show. And she also does tarot cards, right? Or something like that, right? Am I correct? Reading?
Yes, that's just one of her tools.
Just one of her tools.
She'll explain everything.
Awesome. Can't wait to interview her. Should be an exciting show. So if you're tuning in now and you're hearing us and you're a regular listener to the show, be sure to check next week because it's going to be the first time that Danielle and I together will be able to do a guest show. So that is going to be awesome. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to dive into the lost city of Atlantis. If I can pull back up some notes and stuff.
I'll give a bit of back history of it.
Yes. You want to go ahead and do that part?
Oh yeah. Okay. I guess yeah. I'll do. I was gonna start the Atlantis, whether you think it's fable or not.
Mm-hmm. Do we have a problem?
It's a little bit, yeah.
It's okay.
What the heck?
Well, most of our listeners love the pets, so it's fine.
Let's start with the Temple of Sais. I'm sorry, guys.
You're good.
Okay, the Temple of Sais was an ancient Egyptian temple located in the city of Sais, which was in the Nile Delta region. Sais was an important city in ancient Egypt and served as the capital of the fifth nome of Lower Egypt. The Temple of Sais gained prominence during the late period of ancient Egypt and became associated with the goddess Neith. Neith was considered a deity of war and wisdom and was often depicted as a protective and maternal figure. The temple complex was dedicated to her worship. The temple is notable in the context of the story of Atlantis because, according to Plato, it was at the Temple of Sais that the Athenian statesman Solon learned about Atlantis from the Egyptian priests. They claim that the story of Atlantis was recorded in ancient texts preserved within the temple. However, there's no archaeological evidence supporting the existence of Atlantis. And so then I'm going to go into who's Solon, because what happened was Plato got the story of Atlantis from Solon. So Solon was an ancient Greek statesman, lawmaker, and poet who lived in Athens around 630 to 560 BCE. He was often considered one of the 7 wise men of Greece, renowned for his contributions to Athenian politics and legislation. Solon played a crucial role in reforming the Athenian constitution and addressing issues of economic inequality. Around 590 BCE, he was appointed as the chief magistrate of Athens and implemented a series of economic, social, and political reforms known as Solonian reforms. These measures aimed to alleviate social tensions, prevent political strife, and establish a more just and foundation for the later development of Athenian democracy. Additionally, he wrote poetry, and his works included both political and ethical themes. Solon did not write about Athens himself. The story of Solon did not write about Atlantis himself. The story of Atlantis is attributed to Solon by Plato in his dialogue, Timaeus and Critias. According to Plato, Solon learned about Atlantis during a visit to Egypt, where the priest at the temple of Sais shared the story with him. Solon supposedly incorporated this account into his own poetry, but the specific writings or poems by Solon about Atlantis, if they ever existed, have not survived. Plato presented the narrative of Atlantis as part of a philosophical and political dialogue rather than a historical account. The details about Atlantis are found in Plato's works, not in Solon's writings. Now, whether you're going to think that, the story of Atlantis is true or false, it's, I don't know, it's about... I personally think it's true.
I personally think it's possible.
I don't think he told any tales. I kind of explained what the temple was, where Solon went, and who he was. He wasn't just like someone that's going to make up a bunch of tales and then tell Plato, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I think Plato describes things so accurately,
right?
So detailed,
very detailed.
That I'm like, really detailed. That I'm like, how could he be making this up?
I think one of
that's yeah.
I was going to say, I think one of the things that is amazing about the details of the city of Atlantis and the location of Atlantis, according to Plato, is the size of this location and the advancements that I don't just think that someone at that era could have been able to make up that. Maybe, but that just seems like very far-fetched. There's a lot of stuff there that if you really go dive into those descriptions, it's so advanced to what they were used to. I'm like, how could you just literally make that up out of the air at the time, because you didn't really even have a reference to some of the stuff that you were talking about. So I find it to be very possible, and with all the things that happen with, let's just say, underwater volcanoes, earthquakes, various things, it's very possible that something could just be hidden still to this day, and not all of it has surfaced. I mean, there's trenches in the oceans and stuff that are so deep it's ridiculous that even some of our subs can't get into. So, I mean, without having, implosion. So, can you 100% say that this didn't exist? I don't think you can say it didn't exist. I don't think you can say it did exist. I think I'm like you. I'm more of the tune with the descriptions. I don't think it was made up. I think it existed very, very much. I just think we haven't unlocked all the secrets of it as of yet. That's my personal opinion on that part of it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Also, the water management systems and stuff. I mean, the descriptions are crazy that they would know that.
Right. So it's your turn to go on with the rest.
Okay, I will go. Okay, so anyway, the social structure and the government of Atlantis have been the subject of much speculation and debate also. According to Plato's account, Atlantis was ruled by a wise and just king who governed with the help of an advanced administration system. That's also very interesting. And the society was organized into concentric circles with the king residing in the center. The government of Atlantis is believed to have been a mix of a monarchy and what's the word? I don't even know that word real well, but shoot, I hate when I can't pronounce something right. That's on me. But anyway, it's the Oligarchy. What is that? How do you pronounce that? But anyway, that's the combination of the two governments. That's on me for not being able to pronounce that. With a strong emphasis on the pursuit of the wisdom and the knowledge. So anyway, the social structure is thought to have been a hierarchy with a well-defined class system. The exact details of the social structure and the government of Atlantis remain elusive. Now, that's a very interesting thing. But its unique system continues to intrigue scholars and historians. So if it continues to do that, and then the civilization in Atlantis is believed to have made significant contributions to other societies throughout the world at the time. Yet it was 9,000. I believe wasn't it like 9,000 years before supposedly known civilizations were starting to be known to historians and stuff. So I think that's
11,500 years ago.
There we go.
Years before
right here.
The time of
right. That's what
Plato.
That was the. I couldn't remember the exact time, but I knew it was like quite a bit before Plato. So yeah. And
in the Younger Dryas
do
time.
what? Do what now?
In the Younger Dryas time.
Right. There we go. Okay, she got it. I almost forgot. All right. See, this is why it's always good to have a co-host to go back and forth with. And there's a lot of geological considerations about where Atlantis is at. But I think. The Strait of Gibraltar is the one that it comes up on a very common denominator. That correct, Danielle? That's the one.
Atlantis was located beyond the Pillars of Hercules,
mm-hmm.
and that's the modern day Strait of Gibraltar.
There you go.
It consisted of central island surrounded by concentric rings of water and land. The central island was said to be larger than Asia Minor, modern-day Turkey, and possessed lush vegetation, fertile soil, and abundant natural resources. Mm-hmm. Plato also described the advanced infrastructure, impressive buildings, and the existence of the powerful naval fleet of Atlantis. Now, I was thinking about, they think it might be a fable that he was telling for like a utopian society.
Right.
The way he describes it, it was like the society, like it was so great and so wonderful and almost like this utopia on Earth, right?
Right.
So they think that he was doing some kind of metaphor for it or allegory, right? So, like,
that's what some people. Yeah, that's what some people theorize. Yes, there's people that have theorized that quite a bit, but then there's also people that theorize that it could very well be in existence, and because of the area of the catastrophic events like the earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, could have played a role in the submergence of Atlantis. But studies and investigation necessarily evaluate the geological viability of those hypotheses. I don't. To me,
but there's also
No. You go ahead. You go ahead. Go ahead and tell me what you.
No.
Well, I'm just saying. I think that there's a lot of things, because if you go back and you look at archaeology, you are always constantly finding things, and we didn't think this really existed, and suddenly it existed. So that's what I was going to get at.
Oh, and I was just going to say a little bit. Aside from Plato, there are other ancient references to Atlantis, not as extensive. The historian Herodotus mentioned an advanced civilization located beyond the Mediterranean, which some speculate could be Atlantis. The ancient philosopher Cantor, a student of Plato, also wrote a commentary on the lost island. Additionally, the ancient Egyptian priest-scholar Matthew referred to a great island empire that existed before Egypt's own civilization. These indirect references provide some additional support for the existence of Atlantis,
right?
Which is pretty cool, right?
Exactly. And I think it's
a little more things that point towards it that it really
yes.
might been.
Mm-hmm. Lots of things that point to it. And I think it's interesting, people go back to whether or not it's a myth or real, that Plato left the second work on the stuff of Atlantis, he just kind of left it open-ended. Maybe he was going to go back to it, maybe he wasn't. That's something that I have heard on like another podcast, and they talked about, did he leave that open-ended for a reason, or did he just not get back to it to finish up that? And that may be one of the other reasons that we don't have the rest of maybe easier way to find the location. So I mean that's a theoretical thing. But Atlantis.
So where Atlantis might be?
Yeah. Because on the second,
there's some theories that it could be located in the Mediterranean, near the island of Santorini, or which experienced a catastrophic volcanic eruption in ancient times. Others suggest a possible location as the Atlantic Ocean, such as the Azores or the Canary Islands. Some scholars view Atlantis as a purely mythical, representing lost knowledge. I personally think, now if anyone can go and look up Atlantis, Randall Carlson, he's saying that it is probably in the Azores, and I am leaning more towards the Azores.
Okay.
Now, I've heard other people mention Atlantis and say maybe Atlantis was everywhere, that it was an advanced civilization that went out everywhere, all over the world, and, built these structures that we see that are almost all alike.
Right. Which
they say were the Anunnaki. So if you want to go learn about the Anunnaki, you just go look that up and you can learn about the Anunnaki. And they think the people in Atlantis were the Anunnaki civilization. So, it can get pretty detailed. But it's definitely beyond the Pillars of Hercules, he says.
Right. And
there's no exact coordinates.
Right, and the thing is, that's part of the problem, and there is so much on Atlantis that, and so many different theories and so many different directions. I think sometimes maybe there's too much, and maybe it makes it more difficult when you're trying to figure this out. Because we say this is over here, but like this whole deal about what you were saying here about maybe it is like everywhere, and there was an influence there. There's there's one science fiction show that is very interesting about Atlantis, and part of that could be very. They took some details from that makes to make that show, and about being everywhere, but actually having an actual city that was under the water and stuff, and that it was alien related and stuff like that. But that's a little more science fiction than the stuff of Plato's description. But at the same time, it goes along with you're talking about being everywhere at the same time. That's
well, what could have happened is they knew maybe something was coming, or some of them survived, and then they went out all over the world.
That's very possible.
So that's possible too. And some of them went to Egypt, some of them went to,
and maybe that's why
America, some of down there, some of them went.
And maybe that's why there's other details from other, like from the Egypt and stuff like that. That's why there's other details about the Atlanteans. So that's very possible. I agree with that. And Atlantis is a fascinating story, regardless if about real or myth or whatever, because Atlantis pop culture is used constantly for fictional stories to this day. They have it on resorts, on boats. Atlantis, it has had a major influence when you think about it, because a lot of stuff is used with the word Atlantis, and it all goes back to this, lost city of Atlantis, and I find that for all the skeptics, it's amazing how many people actually enjoy the fact that, hey, they really kind of want to, believe that it's there, kind of like, we want to believe it's there, and, we would love to find it, right? We would love to find this complete lost society, or maybe like you said, maybe we've missed something. Maybe they went out throughout the world. So, yeah, there's a lot to that.
So many people are have tried to find it, or this or that. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
How famous does the person become that actually finds the lost city of Atlantis? Wouldn't that be amazing? I mean,
that would be amazing. But they're finding ancient things underneath the ocean anyway.
Right? Yeah, constantly finding more and more stuff.
Place, huh?
Yeah.
So,
and they're also finding, and I think what's Danielle, I think what's really amazing about that, they are finding stuff that is getting further and further back on some of what we had known as the known, like, timelines and stuff. So the timelines are getting longer with discovery after discovery. So do we discover something that will be in that timeline on the carbon dating and stuff? And so we get to that point, then we're going to say, okay, so if we let's just say, this is a hypothetical, I guess, on my part, but let's say they found something in the ocean somewhere, and the dating, they catch and they go, wait a minute, this dating is going back further than what it should. Then they're going to have to say, well, maybe Atlantis really is real. I think that's what we're going to have happen to get the skeptics out of the way, and maybe get to the bottom of this. Maybe a little early at the bottom. Because I mean,
we've only explored 5% of our ocean.
Exactly.
Underground. So it's like, I don't know if we'll ever be able to, unless they go down, they find a piece of something that says this was Atlantis, or this is Atlantis. I mean, other than that, I don't know.
Yeah, see, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? But I mean, how do you determine that? Well, here's one way I guess you could determine that. If you look at Plato's descriptions and you find something that would match up with that, and also the dating, then that would almost be 100% proof, would it not?
What?
Well, I'm saying, wouldn't that be proof? If you found something that matched up to the description and it dated correctly, that would be proof in itself, right there, wouldn't it?
Some people think they have, but it didn't really.
Yeah, it didn't always work out.
Right.
And well, let's go back to this whole thing that some people think he was describing a utopia and stuff, and that's why they want to think it's fiction too. Because we know throughout societies, governments fall, governments change. We've seen that with wars, various other things. But the thing is, was this society maybe advanced to the point that they had a way of not getting into those things that we are so easily able to destroy, and that's and they didn't get destroyed by that, but they got destroyed by this natural disaster. So, yeah, there's so much of Atlantis. It's just an amazing thing to study and look at. It can,
yeah. The civilization itself was, it was described as a prosperous and powerful empire that possessed remarkable knowledge and technology for its time. Be highly developed in various fields, including architecture, engineering, medicine, and agriculture. The existence of this advanced civilization has fascinated people for a long time. Now, also, advanced technology. They had access to engineering, sophisticated machinery, and engineering techniques. They are said to harness the wind, which is pretty cool.
Yes.
Harness the power, like powerful energy sources, and employ them in various aspects of their daily lives. Furthermore, Atlantis' advanced knowledge and scientific discoveries are believed to have contributed to advancements in areas such as medicine, astronomy, and navigation. And they even described like the social structure.
Yes.
Atlantis was ruled by a wise and just king who governed with the help of an advanced administration system. The society was organized into concentric circles, with the king residing in the center. The government of Atlantis is believed to have been a mix of monarchy and oligarchy, with a strong emphasis on the pursuit of wisdom and knowledge. The social structure is thought to have been hierarchical, with a well-defined class system. The exact details of the social structure and government of Atlantis remain elusive. They also had contributed to arts and culture. They excelled in various forms of artistic expression, architecture, sculpture, painting, literature. It's known for its magnificent structures and grand architecture characterized by intricate design and innovative construction techniques. Atlantis was also renowned for its literary works, including epic poems, philosophical writings. The culture of Atlantis is often described as sophisticated and refined, with a strong appreciation for beauty and intellectual pursuits. Now, how did they know this exactly?
Exactly. How did you know that?
Did Solon just go into that much detail?
I would think you'd have to, wouldn't you?
Huh?
I think they'd have to go into that much detail. I mean, how did get this much detail from? I mean, there's a lot of detail, in Atlantis and the descriptions and all the. I mean, and I don't think. How do you describe a society so different and yet so advanced? If you don't know this, it hadn't been told to you correctly. I mean, that's just, to me, says that there's something there that, to me, maybe I should make this